right to the middle of the woods here at Queen Elizabeth Country Park. This is the filming location for my 2010 film, October 31st, It's My Party. So let's go and have a look where we shot some of those famous scenes. And please, I hope you've watched the movie before you watch this making of video. So go and watch the movie, then come back here. I'll see you on the other side. Before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about how I came up with the story for It's My Party, October 31st, It's My Party. I submitted the film to a film festival in London, a famous horror film festival called Fright Fest. They were taking short films, and I thought, well, you know, I've made this film, I've made Suspicious Minds, and then I made Guilty Conscience. Guilty Conscience was more horror, so I thought I'll submit that to the festival and see what they think. Submitted the film, and I didn't hear a damn thing, not a thing. So I didn't know whether they liked it, whether they'd received it okay. Nobody got back to me. Never heard anything about it. So I went to that Fright Fest and I watched the short films that were submitted. Now, when I create a story, I tend to do an actual story. You know, it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. A bit of a twist in the middle, maybe. Twist at the end, I should say. And, you know, hopefully that's what people enjoy. So the films that I saw at Fright Fest were all, well, no stories basically. There were heads being cut off, limbs here and there, showing off effects, but no story. So I thought, well, if they want a gory film, I'll write them a gory film. And that's how I came up with It's My Party. This is the very beginning of the film. This is the road that they drive along, excuse my finger. They drive along here and down here, and this is where they drive on their way into the party. The shot only kind of ends around there somewhere. You never see them going down into this part of the woods, but that's where it leads down. And right down here and further up is where we were doing the first attack scenes and the murder scenes and all that business. But yep, initially the film starts off on this road with the car coming along here. And then as it comes along here, I think we end about there somewhere, and then we cut to them inside the car moaning about the party. So yeah, this was the initial opening shot of October 31st, It's My Party. Typically, and just like in a horror film, I've just tried to make a phone call to the rest of my party that are here with me to let them know that I'm finished in this location and I'm heading back to the car. The idea was that I would be picked up at the bottom of this hill. But, like I say, typically, and just like in a horror movie, there's no reception. No reception in the woods. So for those people that say that all that kind of thing is a bit of a cliche, if you like, I can tell you right now, in Queen Elizabeth Country Park, just tried to ring my wife's phone and I've got no reception. So there you go. So this is the approach to the gate that you see in the film It's My Party. When they stop, when there's no further place to go, they reach this gate here and they have to stop the car and get out and walk. So this is the gate where the car stops when it's absolutely chucking down with rain, and that would have been right here. Whether this is a new gate or not, we're not sure, but this would have been the area. This is where they would have stopped. This is where they would have had to have walked to the rest of the party, and that was in this location. I'm here with Sean. Sean played Bonehead in It's My Party, which is what it was originally called. The feature film version is going to be called Parsons Brook, or Bonehead. We haven't made our mind up yet. I think it's going to be called Parsons Brook because that's where the whole series takes place. So we are at the site, I think, was this the first kill that you did?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe it was this area. It's changed a lot in 15 years.
It has changed a lot in 15 years.
More overgrown now. I remember it being a little more open than this. And of course we were shooting at night and everything looked dark.
We were shooting at night, yeah, and we had generators, which we had to hide in the woods to hide the sound. We had to muffle those and run cables a long way away before we actually got to do the shoot. So this is the site of the first kill, and this was of the Jake character. I think he was called Jake, wasn't he, or something like that? I can't remember. Zach,
yeah,
I think.
Played by Mr. Jakes.
Played by Mr. Jakes, that's correct. So, yes, this is where we shot the very first kill. I don't know if we shot it first or whether we shot this after some of the other stuff, but this was where it takes place continuity-wise within the film.
Within the film, he was the first victim.
He was the first victim. So, we're just going to show you now the woodland, and it is overgrown a hell of a lot. I'll try to insert some shots from the film during this so you can see what it looked like when we filmed it all those years ago. But let's just take a look at what it looks like right now. So, Sean's just informed me, I actually got it wrong. This isn't the site of the first murder. This is the site of the first attack.
If we had, yes, Bonehead attacks the same character, Zach, but the attack took place there, if I remember correctly. So it's overgrown now, but I'm sure it was around this area.
Okay.
And this was the scene where Zach walks up to Bonehead, thinks he's just another cosplayer, compliments him about his costume, and then Bonehead slams him to the ground and then whack with the axe. The kill actually was filmed in a different location, in fact in a totally different area miles away from here. But yeah, the initial attack on the Zach character, if I remember correctly, took around this area.
Okay, so let's take a look at the area and show you what we're talking about. So we think that the shot took place somewhere around here because there was a tree which we hung decorations on. However, all of this, and it's not showing up very well on the camera, all of this is overgrown now with loads of thicker trees. So it would have been a little way in, not too far, but a little way in, wasn't it?
It was only about 15 foot in, maybe.
Yeah.
Wasn't a great deal.
And we had a couple of Halloween decorations hanging from the trees. And what was lovely is when you did attack Paul's character, is that when the axe came back up, some of the little characters we were hanging from the tree were swinging as if you'd hit them. Mm. And I thought that looked really good. So, yeah, this is the site of the first attack. It wasn't the first murder, I got that wrong. Sean was absolutely right. This is where it took place. And you can't really see, but it's kind of off the path and it goes down into a little dip. And then that's where the first attack took place. So, that was that. So this area here is actually where we shot a scene which we had to reshoot up at Bonehead. But this was where we had Bonehead waving goodbye to the car as it went past. I don't know why I reshot it. I think it was maybe a little bit too dark, a little bit out of focus or something like that. Very difficult to see and make sure things are in focus when it's night time, and it's sometimes chucking down with rain as well. But this is where we shot the wave goodbye scene, and then it was reshot. Right, so now we're at something which is near the climax of the film. It's not quite the climax of the film, but this is the scene where Emily's character of Jenna, I believe.
Yes.
Is running away, and she's being chased by Bonehead. She's running at full speed. He's taking a nice casual stroll because he doesn't have to run like serial killers don't have to do. So this is all overgrown now, but she would have been running through here. So she would have been running, if you can see my hand, right through this area here, which is all overgrown now. And then she gets to the next area, and she is being slowly chased and slowly pursued by Mr. Bonehead here. This is where I'm going to fall on my ass. And we'll show you what happens. So she gets to about here. Oops, no, she doesn't. She runs a little bit further. All this chase. So this is where I've got to be very careful. She runs along and she gets to this big old branch right here where she falls over. And as she turns over, she looks up and Bonehead has stood right there looking at her. Emily would have fallen here. And as I say, she would have turned around and she would have been looking at Bonehead, who was stood above her. He would have been something like that, looking above her, and he goes to reach her, and she actually kicks out her leg, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she kicks you,
she kicks Bonehead.
And then Bonehead falls on his backside, and then Emily turns around and she runs in this direction. She runs right through this woodland here, and Bonehead is very angry, so what he does is he finds a nice branch, something like this, but probably a bit thicker, and he actually throws it at her, and he knocks her out, and she falls out flat. And then everything goes black. And then when Emily comes to, she's actually rested up against this tree here. And it was in this exact area. So she was laying up against this tree. And she actually finds Bonehead leaning in and breathing at her face, doesn't she?
That's right.
And he's doing all this deep breathing. Actually, that's the first thing you hear. When it cuts to black, you hear the breathing come in first. And then we lift the lights, if you like. And you see Bonehead right on top of her face, and he's sniffing her like an animal. He's trying to get her scent, isn't he?
Instilling terror into her.
And then she backs up against the tree, terrified, and she starts screaming and screaming and screaming. And that pisses Mr. Bonehead off, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
So what does Mr. Bonehead do after that?
Well, there's only one thing to do, and that's keep her quiet. So I've done it in the very gentlemanly way of removing her tongue.
So, do you want to say what happened with the gloves?
The gloves. The gloves.
Do you not remember?
No.
Okay, so Sean here had some black leather gloves on, and previous to shooting this scene, they'd actually torn at the fingers.
Oh,
and there was this like yellow foam which was sticking out the top of them, which was the padding of the gloves. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
And now he's sticking this dirty glove with dirty foam fingers into Emily's mouth and trying to
That's right, yeah, I
take the
remember
tongue up. So yeah, so that all took place.
Lovely evening out that was.
It was, yeah. So that all took place here, and of course, once you took the tongue out, what did you do after that? Because you're a real connoisseur of tongues, aren't you?
Well, it just got thrown on the floor as she tried to run away, wasn't it? And then we
Continued the chase, didn't we?
continued the chase, and eventually
You caught her.
she meets her end with a knife in the head, if I'm correct.
I don't think that was here, though, was it? I think that was back in the other location. Yeah, basically, after that moment, from that tree trunk, the chase continued, and it ended up somewhere around here where we cut, because there's nowhere further to go. Basically, there's a big old stump of a tree there, as you can see, and everything, as they say, is downhill from there. And so that's where we cut the scene. But yes, this is where Mr. Bonehead chased little Emily, little Jenna.
Yeah.
And eventually caught up with her. I'm sure the catch-up scene was done in Queen's Enclosure. I don't think it was done here at all.
It's a long time since I've watched the film, and it's
Yeah.
15 years since we shot it.
I think it was in Queen's Enclosure, because we'll tell you briefly.
Yes, because that's where we finished the scene where I'm holding Emily, and then the clown comes in with the knife in the head.
That's right, yeah.
The kill, it was the maiming and the torture of Jenna that took place here, and
Yeah, the final kill,
the
Queen's
final
Enclosure.
kill was done elsewhere with the clown.
Yes, it was the clown and Bonehead himself.
Yeah, because I'm holding Jenna still, so she can't get away, and she's
And you hand the
absolutely
knife over, don't
terrified,
you?
and I hand the knife. It's like a rite of passage.
I hope you guys have actually watched the movie before you've listened to this, because we just spoiled everything.
Yeah, we have. We've ruined the film.
We just ruined the film
entirely
entirely for you. So I hope you've watched It's My Party first and then come to this making of, because it'll make more sense,
Yeah, absolutely.
basically. But yeah, so let's just talk a little bit about what happened in Queen's Enclosure and why we had to leave there. Do you remember we had that one night?
Oh, there's thugs turned up, and also there was a very horrible aroma and odour in the air, which which was getting up everybody's nose. I can remember that.
But do you remember we turned up in the evening, didn't we? We had the shoot planned. We had Emily, we had yourself, we had who was the cameraman? I can't remember his name now.
Oh God, no, I can't.
It wasn't
remember
Ben,
his
was it?
name.
It was just me, you, Fee, Emily, and the cameraman.
And Rachel.
And was Rachel there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Rachel was there as well. So 3 women, us 2 guys, and the cameraman. We went out to shoot the shoot. Everything was planned. Camera was prepped. Lighting was prepped. Generator was there. We were given permission from Queen's Enclosure to do it. So we went out there, set everything up. Everything was going great. And no sooner did we start shooting, then we were confronted with a bunch of
Low life,
low-life
to be polite.
youths. Really, weren't they?
I can't say what I'd like to say on camera.
No, that's right. And of course, they walked along, and you know, they're not the most intellectual of beings, are they? It's like,
No,
they were walking along going, what you doing? I remember one of them saying, "This is the funniest thing I've ever seen." I thought, well, you haven't really experienced much of life then, really, have you?
Nor has he looked in the mirror.
Exactly. Yeah, if you looked in the mirror, it maybe would have been an even funnier thing. Maybe go home and have a good look in the mirror. So, so they were getting aggressive with us. You know, we were worried about the equipment. We had about $3,000 worth of equipment with us. We were worried about, obviously, ourselves and
Safety of the women.
safety of the girls and stuff like that. We phoned the police, and we actually said, sorry, I'm just going to step in so we can both get in the shot. We phoned the police. You look really tiny there. He's very small. Yeah. We phoned the police and we told them where we were exactly, told them that these thugs, if you like, had come along and were threatening us and were jeopardising our shoot, that we'd had permission. And the police didn't turn up. They said they couldn't find us. They didn't know where we were. So I described exactly where we were. We're off the London road. We're off the other road. They just couldn't be bothered to come out. So what we had to do is we had to hedge our bets and say, is it actually worth staying here? Because what happened is the youths went off and they said they were going to get more people, didn't they? They were going to bring more people back. So we obviously didn't want to get caught up in all of that. Didn't want equipment damaged. It wasn't ours. Some of it wasn't ours. Some of it was. Didn't want ourselves or the girls to get damaged. So the best option was to pack up and go and try to find a new location. And I just want to say thank you to the owners of Queen Elizabeth Country Park who said, yes, come here, come and shoot here. And we had no trouble here whatsoever, did we? We've had a beautiful shoot. Everything was fantastic. And they even premiered the films for us down in their little room that they used to have down at the front of the entrance. So, that's how we ended up in Queen Elizabeth Country Park. And that's how this end of It's My Party went. Up here. We did the original shot down in Queen's Enclosure, and the pickup was done right here.
Yeah.
Now, what's really funny, and Sean's going to point it out to you, is can you show us what happened, Sean?
Well, this used to be a tree branch coming out here.
It used to.
Used to, and we, I think it's come out to about here, and
Yep.
well, we got hold of our actor and we literally tied him up to the branch, and then tortured the hell out of him and for his role in the film. But Bonehead was basically being threatening, and we did come back a few years back and suddenly went, oh, this is broken off. But this was actually where the branch was that the character of Zach was tied to when, for pickups, when Bonehead does the rather glamorous death scene.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, I mean, the place we pointed out earlier was the attack scene. So, you know, I admit I got that wrong. Sean got it right. This is where the final, or where the pickup for the final death scene was done. The actual murder scene was done in Queen's Enclosure. But okay, because of the trouble we had there with the use, we had to move out.
Well,
and
some things I thought you weren't happy with the beat. Yes, because you wanted a shot over
the shoulder.
Zach's shoulder.
Yeah, seeing you
we
attacking.
We didn't get at the other place.
That's right.
So yeah, but we wanted the over the shot scene, over the shoulder shot scene, and that was why we've come here. And this 15 years ago was a nice branch out to a bait here, which sufficed nicely for the shot.
And it tied up quite nicely with that tree that we had over in.
Yeah, you couldn't really tell the difference.
Couldn't tell the difference at all, could you? No. So that worked out really well. And when you watch the edit of the film, it comes together really, really well. So yeah, so this is where Zach's final, because we would have shot the other bits. This is where his final death would have taken place.
Yeah.
And
it was just what we filmed at the other place, but from a different angle.
Yeah, that's right. It's the reverse shot. So while we got this quiet moment in the woods, it seems the most appropriate place to do it. Sean, you actually created the mask for Bonehead.
That's correct, all to your specifications.
That's right, because when I wrote the script originally, I just had him as a masked killer. I didn't know what he was going to look like. Fee and I, we walked around a couple of these costume shops and a couple of these mask shops. It was around Halloween time, so it made sense. Right. And we were looking for a mask and a look. And I was in, I think, Poundland or one of the other shops, and I found a mask, and you've got a version of that mask with you right now, haven't you?
We have here. The original one we used was chrome, but this is green chrome. But this is the exact Bonehead mask, or what became the Bonehead mask. It was one of these mouldings.
So yeah, it's quite a hard plastic, is it? If you give it a tap, you can see
that. Very
quite rigid.
Very solid. So we knew it would be a good base to work on for whatever alterations we were going to make for the character.
So yeah, as you can see, the one that we had was a silver chrome. This is a green chrome. We couldn't have used that on the screen. It would have been too weird and reflective. You would have seen all the actors in the camera work and stuff like that in the mask itself. It would have been quite nice. It would have been quite different, but we wanted him to be a very kind of earthbound character, and there's a reason why he's got the mask that he ends up with, and that's unveiled within the story of the film. So yeah, this had to change quite drastically. It had to really look, earthy and realistic, so we had to lose all of this chrome. And perhaps you can just talk us around the process of what you did first of all when I presented it with you, and what your thoughts were about how to change it.
Well, the first thing that springs to mind obviously is the chrome has to go, so that was done using a very harsh wire brush, and we didn't have to worry about it affecting the plastic, not that it left much in the way of scratch marks or anything like that. But we used a hard wire brush to strip it back to the bare plastic with a wire brush. And that then left us with a nice plastic surface which to work on, to build up. And Gary had a few ideas, and he said he wanted a couple of digs in the forehead. Looked like whoever the victim had been that gave this mask had been smashed with a claw hammer. So that was easy enough to do, and also to put a screw embedded into the forehead as well, just to really enhance, I think, the vileness of this villain. That the fact he wasn't just content to take somebody's skull, but he had to disfigure it, for want of a better expression, and just to make what was once somebody else's face his own.
So yeah, that's how we came up with the name Bonehead. Really, is he basically does. He kills a victim and takes the head off, slices it right down the side, and takes the front of it off, and he wears their skull as his face. So the victim had to have a very large head. Unfortunately, thankfully, we never had to cover that, so we didn't have to see anybody with a very large head, because that would have been a bit problematic.
Indeed.
But, you know, yep, so that's the original mask, and that's how it started off. I think it cost us about £2, so it really was that cheap. It was in Poundland. I know it, it should be a pound in Poundland, but
I think it was Asda's, wasn't it?
it might have been maybe one of those, Asda's, Sainsbury, Poundlands, one of those, but it was around Halloween time, and...
Yeah.
There are quite a few, but I picked the one that was silver chrome because obviously we've got the green chrome one as well. We wanted to get a backup just in case anything went wrong. So, yep, the silver chrome one is the one that we used. And the brief basically was to try to take away some of these furrowed brows that they've got on there, and some of the harsher marks you can see kind of there. There's the furrowed brow.
And of course, skulls do not have furrows.
No, exactly, and that some of the marks around the lips and the chin as well. We wanted to smooth some of that out, make it look more like a natural skull as best as we could. So now, time for the big reveal. I mean, you would have seen it if you've seen the film anyway. But let's have a look at the mask itself.
That's what I turned that chrome mask into. This is the villain Bonehead in all his gory glory.
He actually looks quite clean. He's not actually covered in much blood, is he?
You can still see a few red stains around here, which was the hapless blood splat from a victim.
Yeah, that's right. It looks very, very well. Okay, so this is up here. This is the hammer indentation.
That is the hammer indentation
The
there.
claw hammer.
There's the screw put in.
We always said he was a bit of a screwhead, didn't we?
We did indeed. And one of the other things you requested was you wanted part of the jaw gone. So
That's correct.
we sawed out from here.
Yep.
And obviously with that gone as well, we had to make the other side match. Taking into account anatomically, the jaw is always hinged to the side of the skull. So by the time we cut that round, I thought, right, now we need to hold it all together. So that's where all these wires and rivets were then put through. And to hold the front of the jaw, I come up with the idea of, well, what if we drilled into the teeth and then use wire to hold the bottom jaw to the top jaw.
That's very good.
And as you can see, if you turn it over,
You can still see the chrome.
there's the wires, there's still the chrome. One of the other things we had to do was drill out the nasal area, and we needed it to look like the nasal bone had been slightly smashed off on one side, which is why if I turn it round you can see you've got a higher ridge here compared to this side. And of course that involved cutting part of the mask away and rebuilding back, hence you can see random pieces of plastic put in, and then over the top of that to build round you can see this was just using milliput, and that was just a two-part putty mixed up, put into place and smoothed over to give the desired effect. And you can also see some milliput was used there just to smooth out the roughness of the plastic from where it was cut through.
Okay. Let's talk about something you didn't create. Well, you kind of created, but the hair. So this came off an old, I think it was an old man mask, wasn't it? Did we have an old man or a witch mask or something?
I remember you buying something. I'm not sure where the hair came from. I can't remember, but it did come from another source. It was never part of this.
Yeah, I think again this was another one of those shopping Sainsbury's,
Yeah.
find an old man, and all we needed was the long grey hair really. So we got rid of the face of it, and we just kept part of the brow. And of course the mask itself covers up the rest, which makes it blend in quite nicely. But we wanted Bonehead to look like this creature. The end of the story is supposed to be, and there's a reason why, you'd understand why, that he's supposed to be over 100 years old. So yeah, so that's why he had the long grey hair as well. Is because he was, like I say, supposed to be this old creature that lived in the woods, and we just thought it added to the effect. And then we haven't got the rest of the costume with us, but there was a parka coat, I believe,
That's correct.
and like an overcoat or something, and just some
Sheepskin It looked like a sheepskin done as
Like a...
like a body warmer
That's correct,
type
yep.
affair.
And also your gloves.
And my gloves.
Indeed. Okay. Let's talk about game.
Okay, well, as you can see, the finish on there looks very grubby, as it was intended to be. And this was done in few stages of painting. First thing we did was to give it a black undercoat. Then doing an overbrush of a very dark brown. And then highlighted up, overbrushing again with other various shades of brown before giving the final dry brushing of an off-white ivory colour, as like you can see on the teeth. And the mask looked great up until you went to film it, and unfortunately it still looked plastic. So we went back, and to really enhance in, then you can see some dark red in there, which was used to portray dried blood from previous kills. And then I mixed in some watered down PVA glue with some thinned out black and dark brown inks. And then the whole thing was given a wash. And then before the glue mixed with the paint had time to set off, as you can see in these areas here, this was a sprinkling in of flocking, which you would buy as foliage for your model railways. And of course, the colours didn't matter because the black and the brown all mixed in, dyed it all together. And this was the desired effect, which then, when we went back to shoot again, gave quite a good enhancement and took the plastic look out of the mask as it had been before.
It really gave it that bone effect, didn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Looked like, I mean, you know, as we were just saying about the way the eyes look and stuff like that, it's not anatomically correct, but it looks good and it looks bloody scary on screen. There was moments when we were shooting the film and it just caught the lighting in a particular way and it looked bloody terrifying, I thought. Okay, ready.
All right. And then finally, obviously, we had to come up with a way to attach it. Now, when you're going to wear this, you can't just put it on your face and it'll stay there. And we went down to like an ex-military shop, and they had lots of bits and pieces there, which is where the parka and other items of Bonehead's clothing came from. And rummaging through the bins in there, we found these old leather straps. And as you can see, they're very well worn and weathered in. And so we used those, and again, wire to attach it.
Right, to pause a second.
Yeah, I just covered it, didn't I? What did I...
Yeah, so we got it from the army surplus shop, and you attach it, as you say, you had to have it attached to the face in some way because we couldn't use the elastic that was on the original mask, so that was the ideal way to do it.
Although we did use a little bit of the elastic of it just to attach up there so that we could pull that over the top of the wearer, and then just using a knot to tie that to the back of that strap there. And by the time that the wig went on, it hid all that, so you never really got to see anything that didn't look good on film.
With woodland like this, you can see why we shot It's My Party here. Very dense woods, fantastic woods. Walking through the filming locations for It's My Party, October 31st, It's My Party, which later went on to become renamed, Attacked by a Fly or a Wasp or something like that in the woods here. So, seeing as this is the attack scene, why don't we get some insight from Sean about how he got into the character? When I said to you, embody the character of Bonehead, what went through your head and where did you look and what inspirations did you take?
Well, the first thing you said was he'll have no dialogue. So it's got to be a very physical performance then, because there's no way you can put any inflection in a load of grunts and groans. So it had to be a physical performance. Being a Predator fan, I drew on some of the Predator a bit when I'm looking at Zach's character after he's tied up and I've got one hand on his face and the mask comes in and it's staring at him. I based that on when Predator pins Schwarzenegger to the tree in the jungle and starts examining him as well. And from then on in, it literally became a case for me, I think, of become the stealthy hunter. you're living in the woods, so therefore you're going to know how to conceal yourself. You're also going to know how, through experience, how you want to get the victim. So therefore it had to be all about physical and very little else. So I put a lot into the stance, the look, the silence, and drew as much out of that as I possibly could, and I hope that came across on the screen as being a very believable villain.
I did indeed. Yeah, fantastic job.
Glad you liked it.
Oh, we all did. We all did. So this is where the end of the film takes place. This is the kind of the final reveal. This is where the second car with the second party of people come past and look out the windows and they see all the bodies lined up against the trees and they go, wow, these decorations are absolutely fantastic. So let's just take a look at that, shall we? So I believe that some of the characters would have been sat up against these trees and the car would have been driving past in this direction, something like this. And as we panned across, we would have seen all the murdered bodies laying up against these trees, but everything's been a little bit overgrown since we were here 15 years ago, so the landscape has changed somewhat, but this would have been roughly the area where we filmed that scene. Just want to say that this has got nothing to do with It's My Party. I can't imagine it's been there for 15 years. But it's the kind of thing that you would imagine taking place in these woods when you had Bonehead roaming around, you know. A little shroud. So excuse the noise from the road. We are at the moment inside Queen's Enclosure. I don't know why they spell it enclosure rather than enclosure, but there you go. And this is where we shot the beginning part of It's My Party before we moved to the Queen Elizabeth Country Park location. So we're just trying to scout around at the moment, see if we can find any of the places that we shot some of those scenes that we spoke about earlier on, and we will then show you on the camera. But for the moment, everything looks 15 years overgrown, so it looks very different from when we remember being here. But let's go and have a look anyway, see if we can find any of them. This is the entrance where we brought the generator and where we set up for the actual shoot. So we're going to have a wander in that path and I'll show you what it looks like. So if you can imagine, we would have come in here, I think we started in November. I think it was Friday the 13th of November we actually started the shoot. possibly 2009, I think, because the film came out in 2010, so it's possibly 2009 that we started the shoot. So we would have had to drag the generator, the heavy generator, which would supply our powers to our lights for the evening, in through here. And on top of that, you've got 3 red headlamps. You've got all of the props, all of the costumes, the scripts, the boom mic, the camera, and obviously the cast, and we all came in this way. And I think this is where we shot the opening of the film, but we'll go down and we'll have a look. Walk into the location of the first shoot, which was it's actually the beginning of the film where they enter the woodland. Excuse the plane overhead, there wasn't any planes when we were shooting the film. So let's go and have a look. So at the beginning of the film, our party would have been walking in this way and kind of tracking deeper into the woods. It's a lot quieter back in those days because we obviously filmed in the daytime, so it was the night time, so there wasn't so much traffic. And then there's a little bit of a confrontation between Jenna's character and Laurie's character. Excuse the traffic going by, like I said, I wasn't there on the night. And Jenna basically says that Laurie's being a bit of a whiner and stuff like that. So they would have continued walking, and keeping in mind, as I say, it's daytime now, so this would have been a lot darker. We would have had to have lit it with our lights. She would have seen Bonehead walking in amongst these trees here, and she says, "What was that?" And Ben tries to explain it away as being something like a fox or a squirrel or something like that. And eventually something else scares Laurie and she goes running off, and she goes running off in that direction over there. So she goes running off deep into the woods. And what happens next is that they say to Ben, "Why aren't you going off after her?" And he goes, "Oh yeah," and he goes running off. And when he goes running off after her, I don't know if you can see, there's like an area of, I'm going to point it out, there's an area of bushland around here somewhere. And he calls out her name, he calls Laurie, and he goes running into those hedges and he disappears. And we see him later on in the film. And then we got Jenna's character. She says that she's going to leave and go home. And Paul's character, Zach, he kind of gets very annoyed and he says, well, you're not going to go anywhere without the car keys. And then she jangles the car keys at him, and then she walks off in this direction into the darkness, and he gets annoyed. And I believe the next shot that we see is Paul stood by this tree here, and as I say, he gets annoyed, he pulls his mask off, and then he stomps off into the woods, into the darkness, and to his eventual fate. So I believe it was shot in this clearing here. Like I say, it's been about 15 years, and everything's overgrown a little bit. Things look a lot different than what they used to look like. But yeah, so I'll just pan you around. I think that's the clearing, and I think that's where they, as I said, had the argument about the car keys and about staying at the party and all that business. And then Ben, I think, running off around this area and into the hedge. And then there we go, that's the rest of it. Sorry, yeah, Ben played Max. I haven't got a very good memory for the characters' names that I write. Now, something peculiar I want to tell you about this film is that I decided to tempt fate. I decided to start the film, as I said earlier, on a Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th of November. I think it's, like I said, about 2009, because the film came out in 2010. So, yeah, Friday the 13th. We thought we'd tempt fate. We're doing a film in the woods, about a killer in the woods, you know, similar to another film, which has a Friday the 13th in the title, which is probably called Friday the 13th. And you'd think there'd be something that would go wrong, wouldn't you? But no. We actually had the best shoot. Everything went on time. Everything worked really, really well. Got all the shots that we wanted. Camera was fine. Cast were fine. They hit their marks on time. And yeah, it was a great shoot. We were really, really relieved. I thought, well, that couldn't have gone better. That was fantastic. Knew that. This is what you get. This is part of the problem, which I'll explain in a minute. Right, so every shoot after that, something went wrong. We came out, set the camera up in the woods. I tested it earlier in the day, as I always do. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't fire up. It wouldn't film. The batteries were charged. Everything was charged. Everything was fantastic, but no, it didn't work. It didn't want to work at all. So then what happened is we bring the red headlights out one night once the camera's working. So I meant to say, I got the camera back home, turned it on, and it worked instantly. It's just it didn't want to work in these woods. I don't know why that was. We then brought the red headlamps out, set all those up, and I think two of them, the bulbs exploded while we were shooting. So that happened. The noise with the yobs that you heard just now, we had an incident, which I'll try to find the area for in a moment. We had an incident where we came to these woods, we'd set it all up. We had myself, Sean, the cameraman, my wife, and obviously all the equipment, and Emily. Of course, Emily was playing our actress on the night. Playing our Jenna character on the night. And when we got here, we set up, I think we got one shot, which is her feet running through the woodland. That's because we were attacked by a bunch of youths who were throwing beer cans at us, and they were kind of taking the piss out of us shooting, and it escalated to the point where we felt that we were actually in danger. So we phoned the police up and said, look, we're in the woods, we got permission to be here, we're doing a little film, can you come out and help us because we're being kind of attacked by a bunch of youths? Oh no, we don't know where the area is. Well, I'll tell you exactly where it is. Here's the road that's opposite, this is the entrance we're at, can you come on down and do something? Oh no, I don't think we can do that. So the police never came. We had loads of expensive equipment with us, as I said. We had the generator, the lights, plus all of our cast and crew. The only thing we could do was pack up and leave. So we got that one shot that night of a pair of feet running through the woods, and that was it. So everybody's night was wasted because of some gobby, horrible little youths. So we're just approaching a scene that picks up from another scene that we spoke about in Queen Elizabeth Country Park, which is where Paul was actually captured, or the Zach character was actually captured and was hung up on a tree. And we'll just show you the vantage point. Emily's character of Jenna, she sees Paul, and then she goes running across this bridge, and then she goes to kind of help him and cut him down. So we're going to show you first of all where the bridge is, and then we'll show you her point of view. So here's the bridge that she runs across. We'll get across the other side and we'll show you her point of view. So yeah, this is the bridge. This is, I don't know, roughly the angle that we would have seen Jenna's character come running over. She kind of spots Zach hanging up on a tree, and she goes running towards him. But this is the angle we probably would have had, and again, this would have been at night time, so it would all look a little bit different. But that's the bridge anyway. Had a bit of a wander over the bridge. I don't think we came this far up. We walked right to the very top, and we can't find the tree. It was quite an obvious tree. It had a branch sticking out to its left-hand side, which Paul had his arms draped over. And, you know, we're operating on a 15-year-old memory. So I thought we would have shot it all in the same area, but, you know, that's the magic of editing, isn't it? You make it look like it's all in the same area, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was somewhere completely different. But, yeah, from our point of view, we can't actually see the tree or anything that looks like it. So maybe it's gone after all these years. I mean, there's a few that have been cut down. There's a few that have been blown down by the wind. And there's a few that the branches have fallen off of. So, you know, we're looking for something with an obvious big branch sticking out to the left-hand side, and it's not here. So possibly, again, you know, we're trying to match this up to a 15-year-old memory. I'm going to show you the path in a moment. I think Ben came walking through here, and he was calling out for Laurie. So the scene earlier where he walked out and kind of jumped into the bush and went off running after her, calling for her, we would have picked it up here later in the film. And he was walking along here, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, but I'll just show you. I think her cloak was hanging roughly here. So her little Red Riding Hood cloak that she had would have been hanging even on this branch here where the holly is. And then we look up to him, which would have been around here somewhere, and he would have gone panicked, and he would have called out, "Laurie, Laurie," and he comes running on again until he reaches this clearing up here. So we're just going to bring you up to where the clearing is. Of course, there's a stream down there, so we have to be careful that he didn't fall in there while he was doing it. But he reaches about here, and he suddenly encounters somebody in a clown outfit. If you've seen the movie, hopefully you've watched the movie, as I said before you watch this, otherwise we're spoiling a lot. There's a clown stood around here somewhere. This was a lot leafier and a lot different back in the day, like I say 15 years ago. But the clown is stood there, he tries to have a conversation with it. That conversation doesn't really go anywhere, and he goes, "All right then," and he starts to walk forward, and the clown hits him with the spade, and if you've watched the film, you know what happens next. But, yeah, so Ben, the character that he plays is Max, would have been laying down here, and as he was laying down there, the clown, with its spade, took the spade and rammed it through his leg and cut his leg off. Nice. So that would have taken place here, as I say, and he would have walked along this area. But yeah, the clown attack would have taken place roughly here. Just on our way out, and we've just seen this tree here. This might be, and I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on it because I haven't looked at the film. This might be the tree where she finds the stereo and finds out the whole thing is a scam and there is no party in the woods. But like I say, 15 years, things have changed. Everything looks a little bit different. There's a little stump over there where we may have rested the radio, but there's a little thicket in the woods, which I seem to remember some branches growing out of that kind of area. It might be, it might not be, but I thought I'd film it anyway. So there you go, we've had a thorough look through Queen's enclosure, and unfortunately we can't find two of the big landmark places, which was the tree where Zach's character was hung up on. And we can't find the stump where the radio was, where she finds out that it's all a bit of a scam and there's no party in the woods whatsoever. They've either been overgrown, as I say, or chopped down, or something's happened to it in 15 years, or maybe our memory of where the locations were has gone after 15 years. But there you go, I shall throw you back now to me in Queen Elizabeth Country Park with Sean. Right, there you go. That is the making of It's My Party, which we made, what was it, 15 years ago? 15 years ago. Luckily, our memories are pretty good, and we remembered where a lot of the filming locations were here in Queen Elizabeth Country Park. You can venture into Queen Elizabeth Country Park yourself and come and find them and say, I know a really decent horror movie that was made right there. I just want to thank Sean for coming along with us today, for giving us his insight on how he created the mask and how he created the character, and obviously going through with me where we filmed the locations. Obviously, I got a couple of things wrong, which Sean got absolutely right. And, you know, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you here with us. You know, it's always a joy to work with you. You know, I enjoy working with you.
Pleasure to be here. And we've had some adventures.
We have, and you know, hopefully we'll get onto another film very, very soon. We'll find something else to do. We'll work together again. But if you've enjoyed this little video, like I say, hopefully you've watched it after you've watched the movie, so we haven't spoiled anything for you. If you watched it before the movie, that's on you, I'm afraid. You know, click on that thing. It's a thumbs up. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be around when we do another brand new video. This is the last of the movies that I shot up to date. So It's My Party is actually my favourite movie of the ones that I've made. I had the most fun making it. I had the most fun with the characters, with the story, and it's the most rewatchable of my films. But, you know, I had a great time. But, yeah, you know, click on the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with another video very, very soon. But for me and Sean and these woods, we're going to say goodbye.
And be careful of your next trip into a forest.
Yeah, you do actually know the way out.
Yes.
You do?
I'm sure I do.
You do?
I'm pretty sure.
Did you see that guy in the, you know, the funny face just now with the mask on?
No, I'm sorry, I was looking at the ground at the time.
Oh, what are you looking at the ground for?
Oh, something to do. Yeah.
We'll see you
Bit of bang.